Hi everyone, my name's Chape and I'm a paid media campaign manager here at RocketMill. And today I want to talk to you about how applying simple behavioural science to your campaigns can make you more money. Now, it's Friday afternoon here at RocketMill HQ. I know everyone's dying to slope off and watch Morocco-Iran. I know I am. So I want to wake everyone up with a quick question. How many decisions do you think your brain has made today already at this point?
30,000.
Close, yeah? So it's about probably close to around 20,000 at this point, because the average number of daily decisions your brain will have to make is close to 35,000.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what, yeah. Neil's covered it. 35,000, can we just take a moment to think about that? Well, why am I asking this? Well, we know that your brain is not going to weigh up each of those 35,000 decisions. I mean, imagine having to do that. It's going to rely on shortcuts, and these shortcuts are cognitive biases. And they might explain why you spent more on your card at lunch today, or why you got 3 for 2 on packs of cookies. Now, where am I going with this? Well, I believe that if we can begin to tailor our campaigns around these cognitive biases, we can enjoy a longer term return on investment. Now, the first point I want you to take away is that you absolutely do not have to be a behavioural scientist to understand how you can apply these findings in marketing. I'm certainly not a behavioural scientist, which may become clear throughout the course of this presentation. But I do have a desire to generally better understand human decision making, and I can sometimes see this as a blind spot in our industry. Now, I felt compelled to do this talk after picking up this one here, Richard Shotton's The Choice Factory, which details 25 behavioural biases that influence what we buy. And not only that, but these behavioural biases can also be applied to any marketing communication challenge we might face. So they influence what we buy, and we can apply any bias to a marketing communication challenge. Sounds like we should dig a little bit deeper, right? Now, I'm not the first person here to talk about biases, a little bit of a hot topic here at RocketMill. But I did a great talk on the influence of biases at the point of website conversion. And more recently, Neil did a great talk on how we can reduce bias in our data analysis. But today, I want to take a step back and consider the role of behavioural science in advertising, and principally how we can begin to tailor our digital campaigns around these biases. So let's have a quick recap on these biases. As the brain does not have the mental capacity to consider each of these 35,000 decisions, it turns to these cognitive shortcuts. Now, I'm not expecting you to be able to read all of these. This is just to demonstrate or illustrate the different biases that enable us to make quicker decisions, determine what's important, and remember key information. Now, naturally, these biases can have a huge impact on our decision-making ability and buying behaviour as well. And successful brands have always applied findings from behavioural science to their campaigns. And I believe that tapping into biases is one of the easiest ways to do this. And I just want to tap through one example. There's a well-known bias called the pratfall effect. First discovered by this handsome chap, Elliot Aronson, a Harvard University psychologist in 1966, a good year by all accounts. And this study found that when a person presents a weakness, they immediately become more attractive and likeable. If you're lucky, I may just fall victim to this afternoon. And the study found, this is one of those studies, the many pieces of evidence-based research, evidence-based studies that have led to the discovery of these biases. And it's important that we have more of a grounding in this evidence-based research rather than just relying on industry myths, because too often trends can be treated as truths. Now, this bias, the pratfall effect, can be applied to brands and products as well. Guinness made this actually their primary point of leverage with their good things come to those who wait campaigns, admitting a weakness, the time it takes for a Guinness to pour. And it's this admission of weakness which makes the other claims seem a lot more believable. And I don't need to tell you how successful they were over the years with that campaign. Let's just take a moment there to look at that. Now, adapting the pratfall effect, you need to have a good product or service to begin with, and it would need to be a small weakness. I don't think they could have said, good things come to those who want to put on weight. But it's this technique, actually, funny enough, admitting a small weakness has also proven to be very effective in dating buyers as well. So there you go, free scientific matchmaking advice for you on a Friday. You're welcome. So let's consider the role of behavioural science in marketing. Now, whilst the likes of Richard Shotton and Rory Sutherland at Ogilvy Change have really been championing behavioural science in marketing in recent years, they do seem to be in the minority. And conversations shouldn't just be happening at this TED Talk level. We really all should be more invested in it, as it really is so accessible tapping into these biases. We know that consumers are targeted with thousands of marketing messages a day. We know that brain relies on biases to determine which are important and which are relevant to us. So, if we can tap into these cognitive patterns in our campaigns, surely that's going to lead to better creative and a better response. because we're going with the natural cognitive flow. We're not going against the grain. So why aren't we taking this approach more? Well, I believe the growth of digital may have something to answer for. Quite scary, that, isn't it? And this growing obsession with the tech and the tactics means our own energy can be consumed with the platforms, the algorithms, the shiny new things, if you like. And whilst digital metrics are imperative for us to be making data-driven decisions, just because it's digital doesn't mean that the strategy and the creativity should take a back seat or a general understanding of human decision-making. So, I've spoke about why we need to have more of a grounding in evidence-based research in a digital age, and why we should be paying these biases more attention than we currently are. Now I want to talk to you about how you can begin to harness these biases and integrate them to your campaigns. First of all, I just want to touch on a quote from Sir John Hegarty, founder of BBH, which I actually just saw this week. He said, "Data is great at giving you information, giving you knowledge, but it doesn't give you understanding." Now, whilst I don't wholeheartedly agree with that statement, I do believe that simple behavioural insights, alongside the data that we've got, can start to give us more of this understanding. We can already make data-driven decisions against people in real time, and this data gives us certain understanding. But could we make even better decisions with our planning and our buying, with our creative and our analysis, if we had more of an understanding of our audience's decision-making? So, if we know that the timing and the framing of information can have such an impact on decision-making, we should absolutely be tailoring our campaigns where possible. So, I wanted to test this with a paid media campaign that I manage, and Facebook seemed like a great place to start. We know we have to be doing more on the platform to attract and retain information. Notwithstanding all the privacy concerns, we're now up against 6 million other advertisers, and algorithm updates are favouring organic content. So how did I do this? Well, I picked up the book with intention of identifying 10 to 15 biases that could be influencing our audience's decision-making that I could easily start to think of ideas for. So using a bias, which is the solution, to fit the challenge, driving high quality traffic with a chance to convert, I was able to conjure up specific ideas for ad copy and creative within about 15 minutes. And this might be reframing the message or presenting price points in a different order based on the importance that people place on the first number they've seen. Now I know this is completely illegible, I don't want to give away all my creative ideas, but this is just to demonstrate how easy it was to do this, to pick up a book, scan some biases and start to think, put yourself in your audience's shoes, are these applying to them? So how can you do this yourself? Bring your data to life and consider relevant biases that might be affecting your audience's decision making. And then start to think about how you can tailor your creative and your copy and your landing pages around these. In the digital age, it's so easy to start doing this. And finally, go and test this. Now, I've spoke about testing and tactics, and sure, these are tactics, but it's more of a strategic approach with evidence-based thinking at the heart of it. Now, if I haven't managed to sell you already, I've chosen 3 biases, 3 cognitive shortcuts that influence consumers' buying behaviour, and I've put together a little playbook on how you can start to hack these shortcuts for your own success. The first one, loss aversion. So we are more motivated to avoid losses than we are to pursue gains. It's effectively better not to lose £5 than it is to find £5. So thinking about this, think about how you can increase the chance of conversions on your website and really ramp up your conversion rate. So if you're an e-commerce retailer, think about using messaging such as don't miss out, hurry, only 3-4 days left. 10 people have bought already. You can use dynamic countdown parameters in AdWords to count down to the final second of your sale. And for existing customers, think about exclusive launches and member benefits they're not going to want to miss out on. The next one, the cocktail party effect. So this bias proved that we place more importance on information if there is some personal relevance. So that's the ability to shut out loads of other stimuli and just focus on one thing. So if you're in a busy office here, I'm sitting down talking to someone and I hear Jack across the room, immediately I can shout everything else and my head will just crane and be able to focus on that. So in a digital age when consumers are getting hounded by thousands of messages a day, think about how you can start to achieve cut-through, and personalisation and localisation is key here. So think about dynamic display creative that changes the display, the creative based on the type of audience or the actions they may have already taken on your website. Think about localised creative as well. That can be programmatic, or it could even be digital out of home if you want to drive actual footfall to your brick and mortar stores. And personalise the landing page experience and emails as well for your users. So I spoke about how you can increase conversion rate on site and how you can achieve cut-through to get more people to the website. This is more about building a longer-term relationship and not pissing off consumers, basically. So we acknowledge that mood and context affects decision-making. but we persistently underestimate the influence it has on our own decision making. So we're aware of it, we don't think we're doing it ourselves. So have a bit more empathy with your customers, put yourself in their shoes. Look at the data you've got from search. When are they likely to engage and when are they likely to convert? Think about frequency slopes as well. Don't keep hitting them over the head with the same creative over and over again and expecting them to convert. Consider telling off in sometimes as well. It's not bad to do that. So, behavioural science can inspire or support great creative. It adds to your intuition. Don't go against the grain, go with the cognitive flow, and the biases can be the solution that fits the problem or challenge you've got. We know that the brain's not going to weigh up every decision it has to make, and we're competing for attention, so have more empathy with consumers. And harnessing biases in the right way will lead to better creative, a better response, and ultimately more cash. Thank you.